Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show today. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. We are going to have a great show for you today. How are you doing, Senor Don?
I am doing fantastic. I don't know how to say that in Spanish. I'm sorry.
Estoy fantástico. Me siento bien. Todo está perfecto, hermano mío.
Okay, I'm not doing that.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good.
You doing good? You had a good week?
Yeah, I had a great week.
Well, we are going to have a great show today. So we are going to have a great show. But, man, I so wish there are certain things I could talk about right now that I'm excited about that I just can't talk about right now.
Oh, I see what you're doing there.
You know, I'm just kind of putting a little bit out there, but hey, it's okay. It's okay. Folks, we're going to have a great show. The title of the show today is Progressives. Progressives. Pure thoughts. Do not eliminate your racism, sexism, and other isms. Folks, stay with me. Don't let the subject scare you off now because, you know, I'm a kind of a nice guy, and this subject we're going to handle just the way it needs to be handled, right, Don?
That is correct.
Anyhow, folks, we're going to have a good show for you today, and I hope that you listen and you call in. Remember, this is a call-in show. The telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 716-526-57... Did I just say 716?
Yeah.
You know, have too many numbers in my head. 713-526-5738. Subtitle of the show is Progressive Must Not Give Progressives an Ism Pass. Anyhow, I want to remind you guys, before I start, I have a special ask of all my listeners. Please like the Facebook page Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies. There's a Facebook page called Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies. Please go ahead and like that page so that you're made aware of the things that we're doing. Likewise, please go ahead and follow Egberto Willies on Twitter. Spell EGBERTOWILLIES on Twitter. Also, this is a big ask because as it turns out, the algorithm has changed on Facebook. And it's hard to reach your people now. Facebook is making it very difficult for small publishers and also for bloggers to get their information out. It's funny, Don. I got a message today that's a woman left a message in my on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
And she said, "I didn't get anything from you today, and I had to go searching for what blogs you were writing today."
Mm-hmm.
So what I told her is, folks, when you go to my blog site, please remember, when you read something, go ahead and share it, because that tells the Facebook algorithm that people in your sphere would want to see it as well. And it actually allows it to get into the feed. Otherwise, it just goes up there and it disappears. So, folks, we're going to have to help Facebook rejig their new algorithm. And if we don't do that, there are a lot of stuff that you're going to miss because our messages won't get into your news feed, which is where we want it. And also, I want to tell you guys, just go out there to the page. Go out to the page and find, go to Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies and find the stories and also share it when you find it. That is so very important. Anyhow, a few months ago, I was contacted by the husband of a white woman who told me she and a friend were working on a project called White Nonsense Roundup. He wanted me to give them coverage. So we did a Skype interview and I posted the article. That article got 41,000 plus likes 215,000 K views. Hell, their page, the page for the White Nonsense Roundup, got so big it was 5 times the size of my page. So here it is. I am promoting this particular group. Their page just flew off the scales. I guess politics is too boring for most. That's what it is, you know? They like those other kinds of things. Anyway, these were 2 progressive white women intent on making a difference. And that they are doing. That they are definitely doing. So look, one of the reasons I am empathetic with most people, from those who think they are good to the deplorables, to the racists, is because, again, I'm empathetic to all these folks. It doesn't matter. I can't hear you. Oh, I thought you said something. I am empathetic to everybody, you know, and I speak to everybody. I don't care what you have to say. I'm going to talk to you, man, because I know we all have the mechanism to change. You know, in my interview with these women, I inadvertently made a couple of sexist mistakes myself that I did not realize till my avid readers explained it to me. They explained that, Egberto, you screwed up there. And I'm like, but that's not how I meant it. And they said, look, you screwed up. So come on, you have to be, you have to know that we all can screw up. I've since corrected that issue, just like I've corrected the other prejudices that I'm aware of or made aware of. So that is the kind of empathy that I give to others. But the only way you can do that is folks have to know it first. You got to put it out there. Now, if that person doesn't take it, if that person just refuses to change, then it is endemic within themselves, right? And there's not a darn thing you can do about it then. So anyhow, so that is the way I look at things. But anyhow, folks, before, I want to say this first. Because I co-opted my faults, I do not shy away from engaging all on just about any issue, including race, sexism, and all the other isms. I'm going to talk about it. Again, because like I said, if you hit me up on it, I'm going to take it as well. And that is what I want to do today. General racism and sexism by progressives. Here are some of the blog posts that I think you should take a read of. I wrote these a few months ago. One is called, Do Democrats Talk the Talk While Republicans Walk the Walk? It's an interesting blog. Also, this is a problem with Democrats and we better fix it quickly. And another one, SNL Michael Che threw shade at Democratic Party for taking black vote for granted. Anyhow, before I get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of progressive information, intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays at 9 p.m.
And of course, we have Partisan Gridlock with
Jeff Berg on Fridays at 3 p.m.
And then we have Open Journal with
Dwayne Bradley and Friends on Mondays at 6 p.m.
And of course, my Jazz Latino Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its best, hosted by
the one, the only Juan Flores on Tuesdays at noon.
And of course, there's your show, Don. We got The Human Condition at 3 p.m., followed by The Free Minstrel Show with Don and Dwayne at 4 p.m., among many other shows that he has here on KPFT. That's on Fridays on the KPFT HD3 side. Check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is a listener-supported public community radio station, so please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom?
The corporatocracy.
Absolutamente sí, señor. Absolutamente sí. Anyhow, folks, what are your thoughts? Let's talk. Tag me. Politics Done Right. That's the tag. Hashtag Politics Done Right. And of course, follow Egberto Willies at Twitter. But folks, ¿sabe qué tiempo es? Do you know what time it is? It's time for the weekly blog post. All right, folks. The title of the blog post is racism, and prejudice. It's so damn exhausting, but can make one stronger. Do you think it's exhausting, Dan? Is it exhausting at all? Is it exhausting?
Yeah, it can.
It can be
It can
exhausting?
be very exhausting.
Okay. Well, we are going to make it less exhausting because when you hear what I've gone through
Okay.
To a millennial like yourself,
hmm
you would say, well, it should be exhausting to me, but it's such a, I can live with it. Okay. So I'm going to tell a little story about what I went through. Then I'm going to tell an important story about our revolution, and then we'll move on with the program. So here it goes. I had 5 jobs in the 5 years I worked in corporate America, and I can relay a story in each one where I felt race played a factor. I said I can relay a story. I could relate 20 stories for each job where race played a factor, you know, but you just live through it. Anyhow, I left corporate America and had my own business for the last 29 years or so. I can also recount so many stories that made that enterprise more difficult than it had to be. Now that I'm older and much less arrogant, I can admit that what probably got me in the door in corporate America in the first place was affirmative action, though I would balk anytime anyone insinuated otherwise. I would be like, are you crazy? I'm good. I don't need any stinking affirmative action to get my job. I don't want people they're thinking that the only reason I have this job is because of affirmative action and all that kind of stuff, you know. Nobody wants that tag on them because you know what you're doing. But the fact is, Don, before your time, absent affirmative action, you never even got into the door. And folks, the Dow has plunged over 1,000 points. Okay. Anyhow, I just got that pop-up. Anyway, let me continue with the story. The first job I got, I was unqualified for given the posted specifications. Note what I said. I was unqualified for the job given the posted qualifications. They were looking for someone with at least a master's in computer science. I had a bachelor's in mechanical engineering with a minor in computers. But I did write a Fortran program to simulate the controlled positioning of an Arca drilling ship. The vice president of the division called me into his office. He shut the door and said, Pat likes you. I don't know why. She's hiring you. But I want to tell you, if it does not work out in 6 months, you're out of here. And I don't want to hear a damn thing about affirmative action. That was my entry into corporate America. I finished that 6-month project in 2 months. At my third company, I was called back 3 times, if you include the visit where they made me the offer. It was as if they did not believe my resume and the interview proper. At that same company, I made a software modification that solved a problem they thought would require a complete hardware redesign. When it was time to explain to the customer the solution and the reason we could deliver way ahead of schedule, I was told to tell another engineer all that I did because, in quotation, folks, my time was too valuable to be in that meeting. By the way, since I had finished that project, I'd had nothing to do until the next project, but my time was so valuable to do nothing, right? When the other engineer was unable to answer all the questions related to the exceptions in the software, they finally called me in to answer questions to a somewhat shocked set of customer engineers. My 5th company siphoned me from the 4th one because of a particular skill set I learned specifically for the space station project. They hired me with a title below the previous job, claiming they had a strict experience level associated with titles. I accepted it because the pay was higher than the previous one. Later, a secretary would tell me in confidence that a new hire was less experienced, had a more senior title, and made more than I did. I did not have to wait too long, as the corrective action was almost immediate. I went in there, I gave them the facts. Before I got through talking, they were ready to make amends. They were ready to change it because they knew what they'd done. Getting loans in the early 90s was super, was not difficult at all. It was the 90s, man, spending like crazy, everything was blowing up. A good friend of mine who happens to be white started a phone card company. A phone card company. Everybody and their mother had a phone card company. You were a baby when that stuff was out, because we didn't have cell phones like you're used to, Don, and all that kind of stuff.
That does not mean I don't remember that.
But you do remember that then.
Of course
okay.
I do.
So he was going to be selling phone cards, right? And I formed a software company. Both had sales. Both of us wanted to borrow. I said I made a mistake. I put $4,000 in the article. It's really $40,000 in the. Both of us wanted to borrow $40,000. Anyhow, both of us said, you know what? I need $40,000. So he was invited to talk to the vice president. He got the loan. The VP told me that without collateral, it was a waste of my time to fill out the application. So I built my company on high interest credit cards paying 19, 20, 21%. My friend got a low interest loan. He never paid it back, as he blew most of its cash on cocaine. All right. After getting my business up and running, I went back to the same bank and told them they were going to give me a $40,000 loan, one I did not need at that time. The VP smirked and told me what I had to do. I FedExed the information. I stayed up all night and made sure that he got that information the next day in a 3-ring binder, packed, big, everything set. They approved the loan within a few days, but they refused to fund it until after tax day, April 15th, as if I was waiting on the money to pay my taxes. So they wanted to do one more ribbon. One more ribbon. They weren't going to release the cash until tax day. Any ideas why they did that? This week, now this is current now, because I just wanted to give a few instances of things that have happened personal to me. I don't believe in crying wolf. I don't believe in a lot of folks talk about the race card and all that kind of stuff. I'm telling you, these are 5 particular things that occurred. But let me tell you, Don, for those 5, I could have given you 5 things at each of these companies. And I know just about every person of color working in corporate America. There's nothing special about my stories.
No.
These are stories, and their peers, their white peers, don't have a clue half the times that these things are happening, but they do. Okay? Now, this week, the Harris County Our Revolution endorsed several candidates. Several weeks ago, they asked candidates to submit questionnaires. They denied an invite to 2 very progressive women who passed their Medicare for All litmus test. One was a woman of color and the other one was white. Suffice it to say, one of them I actually interviewed. All right? But they invited their 2 counterparts who were white men. One did not even support Medicare for All. The other was utterly unqualified for the job when measured against his opponent. The action gave immediate credence to a Bernie bro faction of the Our Revolution movement. I was a Bernie Sanders delegate in Philadelphia. I still support Bernie and what he represents. But the action by this Our Revolution group is a black eye to the movement. I complained to a few in the leadership profusely. Both women resubmitted questionnaires. The white female candidate who is opposed by the white man that does not support Medicare for All got the endorsement, however. So her fight to go ahead worked. It was okay. She got it done. But the other woman, did not get neither the visit, neither the invitation. She didn't get the invite to make her case to Our Revolution. She did not. The woman of color still did not get that invite, and they went with the lesser qualified candidate. Every progressive group endorsing in the race have gone for the woman of color because she was the most qualified. And I'm going to digress a bit from my weekly, or my blog of the week. This is serious. Our revolution for a long time has been promoting itself as the most progressive of all these institutions. They have been promoting themselves as very progressive. They've been and I don't know if you remember during the Hillary contest and so forth, the big problem was, well, there are these Bernie bros and they're sexists and they're all these things they were talking about. And there are a lot of us that put ourselves on the line. A lot of us put ourselves on the line and said, no, I mean, these are exceptions to the rules. This is not really how it is. This is not really who our revolution is. As it turns out, anybody can do bad things. It doesn't matter. But this is something that should have been corrected. This is something that needs to be corrected. This is something where this group really owes this woman an apology. Not only an apology, but they need to rescind the previous endorsement and endorse appropriately the most qualified woman that deserves this position. That is go ahead, John.
Me personally, looking at politics, a lot of times it's not the person who is well qualified.
Mm-hmm.
It's the person that they just like the most and has the better presentation, if you will, skin tone wise.
That may be the case, but if you're going to be a viable progressive institution that wants to really take over and claim to be, going forward, if you're not, you must be called out. And not only must you be called out, but folks need to know that, because if you're promoting one thing and doing something else, it is very important. It is very important that I cannot express how serious a problem I think this is for the Our Revolution movement right here in Harris County. And if it isn't changed, I think the group should dissolve itself.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and that's happening national also, where people will say they're progressive.
Right.
That's the buzzword: progressive, progressive, progressive. But then they don't actually have progressive values.
Exactly.
Like I can't say certain positions, but I've heard people go, no, I hope this person is gonna be killed. I'm like, wait a minute. That's not part of the progressive values.
No, it's not.
But you swear up and down that you're a progressive, but you hope somebody gets killed by the state. That's not progressivism at all. And that's one of those things of, okay, are you going to be a progressive? I get it. It's one of those things of, you go out, you go to a cafeteria, and you pick and choose what you want to actually believe in a progressive movement. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
And whenever you do that, you're actually hurting the progressive movement.
Exactly. Our network is down again. We're going to have to do something about this, making sure that we can do these live videos through this network. Let me finish, though, this particular blog of the week. I cherry-picked my personal stories, but I have scores of them. And what is not hyperbole, and they're not hyperbole. It is the same story in different forms for many. I mean, I am no exception. This is something that happens all of the times, and it is something that we have to do something about. It is the same story in different forms for many. I wrote a piece a few years ago to express the reality and adaptation many of us lived through, titled, I Was Trayvon Martin the Day I Came to America, that provides a window, just a window of the thought process. Some will hear these stories and try to find an excuse for each. But when you live it, when you're living it, it is exhausting. It is even more tiring when the data in the aggregate proves a reality many attempt to deny on a micro level. Well, I don't know, Egberto, if that one was really racism. Well, I don't know if that one was really that. I don't know, maybe it was. Again, I'm going to repeat that sentence because it's important. But when you live it, it is exhausting. It is even more tiring when the data in the aggregate proves a reality many attempt to deny on a micro level. In many cases, racism and prejudice have made me much stronger with an armor of steel. I have no Let me tell you, folks. I have no... I can tell you this bluntly. Racism has zero impact on me. I've had people call me the N-word. They've even called me the black spick. They've called me the black wetback. They've just about called me just about you name it. And in this stage of life, and I wish more people of color would get there, because it would then render much of the attacks ineffective. If you could get that armor of steel, where you can disregard all the little people that have these particular inferences towards you, or things or thoughts towards you, if you can make that have no meaning. Like I'll be honest, Don.
Yeah.
The N-word means nothing to me. You see, when I see people jumping up about the N-word and this person used the N-word and all of that, I sit down there and I'm like, okay, so somebody used some hot air and, what's the big deal? You see what I'm saying? It has zero impact on me. So anyhow, folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. And I'm going to speak to Scott. Scott, you're hot.
Well, first of all, I lived in a predominantly black neighborhood for 15 years. I even ran for precinct chair once, although I lost to a write-in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, talk to me.
How about that?
Well, I'm impressed with you. I mean, look.
Okay. And on my last job, I worked with a black guy, and we were friends, and I think I was probably selected by the headhunter as somebody who could work well with minorities. Yes, and one of the first things my new boss told me was, I am supposed to tell you something that probably is of no interest to you. We have an affirmative action program. And I told my buddy, and he said, oh, that sounds like him. Yeah. That was an oil company, Getty Oil Company, and
they have a great reputation, don't they?
They merged with Texaco after I was there 4 years. Yeah. So I've had experience with working with minorities, and
that is great. Let me just say one thing. I live for the day when nobody has to say, I have experience with working with minorities. I am waiting for that day that we can finally get there. But it's great that you've called this show before. You're a good person.
Okay.
But I mean, that is so important that we get there, because when this story the topic for today was really brought on to me when because of what our revolution did. That's the reason I brought on this subject today, because I am still very upset at how it went down. So that is the reason that I came.
I'm not connected with our
I know that, Scott. But Scott, thank you very much for calling.
There's another thing I wanted to bring up, however.
Yes, sir.
I have a guy in my neighborhood, not my immediate neighborhood, a different complex.
Yes.
He says he saw a black guy abused by the police, and I told him he ought to tell our city council member. And I wasn't sure exactly how far you ought to push things, because there are some hazards in doing that.
There sure are.
But I didn't think it would hurt him to deal with the city council member. Well, he backed out.
Yeah.
But then last fall he died of bone cancer. So I imagine he was having a health problem back then. So I couldn't push him to do more.
You did the right thing,
right,
Scott. You did the right thing.
Now I am not a witness. It's not my complex, so I couldn't say very much. But I hoped he would do something. But a lot of people don't.
Well, Scott, that one of the reasons things have taken so long to change is that good people become bad people by not. I forgot. There's a phrase to use it. If you are not, do you know that phrase that I'm talking about? I don't quite remember the phrase, but it means that if you're not doing something about it, then you are also part of the problem.
Oh, if you're not part of the problem, solution, you're part of the problem.
Exactly. That's what I really wanted to say.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you very much for calling,
you.
my friend. You have a great day now, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to John. John, come on in, line number 2. Talk to me, my brother.
Yeah, good afternoon, Egberto. How you doing?
I'm so far so good. Talk to me, John.
Okay, so I just want to kind of get the straight on this. Who are you talking about?
Harris County, Our Revolution.
I know that,
yeah.
but I mean, what candidate are you talking about?
I am not ready to give the candidate name specifically because I am doing this show without contacting the candidate beforehand, but I've spoken to both of the candidates, and so what I'm saying is that it's something that I'm sure of. I've even spoken to the leadership of Our Revolution, Harris County. So I mean, I've gone through the stages and the steps.
Okay, so what exactly happened? Because I'm dealing here with Our Revolution San Antonio, and I've got a lot of complaints about also the national organization of Our Revolution. I called into Sam Cedar and talked about this. How they're not endorsing candidates on the national website. I mean, they're saying it has to be done 30 days before the election, which is already passed in Texas. That's already passed. The only person they have endorsed is Derek Crow, to where last year they endorsed a ton of people running for city council, running for school boards all across the country.
Right.
And so, I mean, if this is something that they're doing on purpose, it's really a bad policy. And
it has to be on purpose, though, right? It has to be on purpose.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's just they're just being lazy about it. I mean, there is something on the website saying that basically you're supposed to put in a code if you're a local Our Revolution chapter to get your person promoted. So I guess you can blame it on the Our Revolution chapters who aren't endorsing people quickly enough. I mean, I know that we endorsed Rick Trevino here in late November, and Derek Crow for the 23rd district, of Texas, and we endorsed Derek Crow also at the same time in late November, and he's running in Austin. Also, the district goes from San Antonio to Austin. They endorsed him in early December. And it's just, I just think they're really dropping the ball.
Yes, they are.
As far as so can you kind of give me the genesis?
Sure.
Why did they not have this person there at the vote? And also, were you at the vote to complain about it, or did you vote for other people also?
Okay, let me qualify that first of all. I had a previous engagement, so I couldn't be at the vote, but I kept abreast of what was going on. That's number one. But let me tell you exactly what happened. Our Revolution Harris County sent out several, I guess it was 100 and something questionnaires, or maybe a little bit more, to candidates. And after they got the responses back, they read all these responses and then decided to invite a group of people to come there. Like I said in the blog, these two women, one a woman of color and one a white woman, one that I've already had on my show, were two women that are strong progressives, and not only are they strong progressives, they're very competent, and likewise they both support Medicare for all, which is or has been a litmus test of progressivity in every single Our Revolution subchapter. Okay? Now, one of the men that is running against the particular white woman was not a supporter of Medicare for all. Above that, he's not as progressive as this woman. She wrote in a second set of responses for her questions, and they accepted her report, and then they invited her to come out on Super Bowl Sunday to participate in the debate, if you will. They didn't give the woman of color that same option. Okay, she was just left out. She didn't get a chance to come and plead her case, even as I've spoke to the leadership letting them know how progressive this woman is, and not only how progressive she is, but as far as qualifications, this was a judgeship. As far as qualifications are concerned, she tried cases, she had experience. The young man who was going against her had no cases tried, never stepped in a court or anything, and was not any more progressive on other issues than she was. So it wasn't even a close call. It was not even a close call. And she was left dry.
So why do you think that happened?
Well, why do you think that happened, John?
I don't know. I mean, all I'm going by is I saw the Our Revolution. You know, it was a lot of them referred to themselves as the Gulf Coast region.
There are two. There's the Gulf Coast region and there's Harris County. Yes.
State convention a couple weekends ago.
Right.
And, you know, they all seemed really progressive, and like they were promoting Sima Hernandez, and that was a big event, you know, for the U.S. Senate, you know, over O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke, yeah.
Beto O'Rourke. And so, you know, it's a little bit surprising, you know, to me to hear that. And, you know, so, I mean, I know you're talking about Dana Steele, right, the other one, right? I mean, it's... be honest.
Anyway, John, as I was saying, let me go back to another point, John, and it goes as follows. Okay, I am everybody who listens to my show, first of all, knows that I'm very comfortable talking about racial issues. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I'm very comfortable in addressing all these issues because, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm studied enough to know that all of this stuff that we talk about is nothing more than race is a social construct. I have to claim here, I don't throw out the race card. I don't ever do that. But when you have our revolution group that is very homogeneous, and it doesn't mean that they're overtly racist. It doesn't mean that they're overtly prejudiced. But what happens is that when you're cloaked without diversity, it is so much easier for something like this to happen. Because I'm going to say something now, and I want the audience to know I just don't know this. But here's the deal. I don't know that this isn't a friend of somebody, the guy isn't a friend of somebody who kind of like, yeah, we're going to endorse this guy. And it's easier not to offend him than to offend the woman of color. When you are in a particular mindset, it's not an overt racist kind of thing. You're a progressive. You believe in progressivity. But it's just that other things take precedence. Sean King from Daily Kos, that used to be at Daily Kos, wrote a piece and I referenced it in my document, wrote a piece a few ago, speaking about, wow, take a look at the Democratic Party, the senators of the Democratic Party, and take a look at the senators of the Republican Party. And do notice that the Republican Party chief of staffs, there are several black folks, Latinos, that are chief of staffs on the Republican side. And on the Democratic side, until the young man who won in Alabama, there was no one of color on the Democratic side.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
I noticed in your district, you know, which is the U.S.
02?
District 2.
Yes.
They did, you know, there are two Bernie supporters.
Yes.
One of them is the guy who they actually endorse. His name is Ali Khorasani.
Yes.
Do you know him?
Yes.
Okay,
I know
the
them
other
all.
guy who is a black man named Darnell Jones, and he's actually endorsed by Justice Democrats. Now, they're both Bernie supporters.
Right.
Darnell Jones has 24 years in I think is in the Navy or the Air Force.
Yes.
Very much, has a very, good record.
Right.
And so I just wanted, do you feel that there was some, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of racism or, I wouldn't say, not necessarily racism, but a lot of, Islamophobia, even though he may not even be a Muslim, I don't know that. But, I mean, just the name Ali Khorasani, a lot of people, have a negative reaction against that. So I'm just wondering how you feel how that came about, that race, that endorsement, and do you feel that also kind of fit into a pattern?
Of course it does. I felt that from the beginning, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it is so much, and the thing about it is, it's hard to just say, oh, it's racism that caused that issue. I understand that. And that's the reason why I'm very careful before I make these sort of statements. I'm very, very careful. Because what happens is, these guys that made these decisions, they really think they're so progressives, and they really think that they personally may think race has nothing to do with it. They may believe that. Okay? But like I said in my blog, when you look at things in the aggregate, and when the outcomes are aggregated and they take a particular directionality, you cannot say there's not a pattern there.
Who are you personally endorsing in that race, and why are you doing that?
I can't endorse. I don't ever.
Oh, okay, that's right. You're on the air.
No, but even on the air, even in these Democratic races, and I've been asked for endorsements in just about each one of these districts, but I don't endorse because they're all Democrats. So
okay.
I don't go there. So
okay.
Yeah. So I mean, But what I'm saying now is, it is important that we take a look at how things really are, my friend. And
that's true. I mean, you're making a good point. I agree.
We have to look at it. So I want, like I said, if I think this group has made, for all practical purposes, for viability, I think it has made a fatal mistake unless it goes ahead and reverses itself. Other than that, I think the mistake is pretty darn close to fatal, and it's not a viable organization because it would have already proven itself.
Well, when I called in the other day, like I said, with Sam Cedar, it's good to know that, in Illinois, who's just 2 weeks after the election here in Texas, which is on the 6th, they've endorsed a couple of people on the national level, Marie Newman, who has the endorsement of Our Revolution Chicago and Our Revolution Illinois, and so now that's on the national level. And then Chuy Garcia, who's running, very likely going to win in Luis Gutierrez district, who's retiring. So, I mean, it's good that they're making endorsements, but I mean, yeah, I think you're making a valid point. I would still like to know what thing you're talking about. Maybe, as time goes on, you can give us some more information.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll go ahead and do that. But what I just want to make it known that, again, I want to tell all the audience that's listening to this, I've been a blogger for decades, okay? Before blogging was really called blogging. I was a blogger when it used to be called CompuServe. Hey, Don, you don't know anything about CompuServe.
Yes, I do. Stop doing that to me, okay? I'm only 33.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to give you a hard time. But I've been a blogger a long time. And if you take a look at all the writings that I've done, right? I really rarely got into race issues until I think Trayvon Martin. And the reason why is that I wanted to be a blogger, not a black blogger. I don't speak about just black issues or Latino issues or that kind of stuff, right? So if I'm talking about a racial issue, folks, like this, it is real. I don't have a race problem or anything like that. I mean, for me, I understand that race is a joke. It's a social construct designed by the plutocracy to screw you all. And the ones that getting screwed the most is not black folk. Black folks came to this country screwed. But the ones that getting screwed the most are my white brothers and sisters. They just don't know it yet. And that is the kind of stuff that I'm trying to get in the heads of people. That's why we need that alliance. And what's my alliance? Appalachia, the ghettos, and the barrios. When we get together, we're invincible. Completamente sí. Completely. John, anything else you got to say, my brother?
No, you're making a good point, and it's sad to hear about that from Our Revolution. But I mean, like I said, I mean there are definitely some faults, and they need to get some kinks worked out. That's for sure. So I guess we can go from there. But
thank you for calling, my brother.
All right.
You have a good one. I'll talk to you on Monday. All right, folks. Remember, telephone number 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. We have open lines, and guess who's here? Johnny. Oh. I forget. Hey, Johnny, guess what? I got a new task. Don told me he's not going to push my button anymore, so I got to push my own damn button. Can you believe that?
Go ahead.
You're cruel, Don. What's wrong with you?
I am not your Negro.
You're not my Negro? Man, I thought you were my Negro, man.
No, you're not.
Come on in, Johnny. Talk to me.
Io non sono fantastico perché Donald Trump.
Listen to you now. Hey, folks, before you... Hold on, Johnny. Look, guys, we have 15 minutes left, and these lines are completely empty. Not because we're talking about a race issue means you guys shouldn't call. Come on, get some spine and give me a call. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Talk to me, John. Johnny.
You lose it if you don't use it.
There you go, brother. Talk to me.
Speaking of Dana Steele, last week when I asked her if she was running as a Justice Democrat, she didn't know who they were.
Right.
And then my second litmus test question was if she was in favor of reestablishing the progressive tax code with no loopholes,
right,
similar to what we had in the early 1950s.
Right.
And she gave me a whole long answer without really answering my question.
Because she didn't know it.
So, I need you to have her back and let her answer those questions more forthrightly, because right now, in my book, she's not a progressive, and I would not endorse her as such.
You know something? Let me tell you that I would not mind having her back on again. But there are several politicians lined up to come on the show who needs to get aired. But I tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and let her. You know, a lot of people don't have. Look, these are local races. And a lot of folks are not real abreast of the progressive movement. Right now, a lot of women are getting involved into the body politic. And you know what? Let me tell you something, Johnny. Because there's a pass that needs to be given in certain issues. And I'm willing to do that, brother, because we want a whole lot of damn women running in these things because the men have done a good job screwing it up, brother. All right?
Well, I will be flying up. I will say that as far as Dana Steele is concerned, I suspect she wants to be seen as a progressive, and she likes to fancy herself as liberal. But I think she has too many Republican influences around her where she works, given her work history and all. So I think the burden is going to be on you, my friend.
Johnny, you're right. First of all, Johnny,
the
I'm not.
Tax code was all about.
I am not going to argue.
Bernie Sanders is all about.
Sir, you're right. Okay, she has a lot of Republican folks around her, and I don't know that is a bad thing. If she's gone, we are going to put in a hell of a lot of progressives in there, right? And it's not bad to have a little bridge in a few of the ones that we put there. So we talked.
You remember what Hillary Clinton said on the debate stage?
Yes,
sir.
Her
second debate.
Yes, I do remember.
She says that we the United States, we're not Norway.
Yes.
So what she was doing was she was talking Republican.
Exactly.
And your friend Dana is, I'm afraid she's in that realm right now, and you
Johnny,
need to pull her out of that.
Okay, Johnny, we're going to talk a little later because now I went ahead and called for people to call, and guess what they did? They called, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw you...
Donald Trump.
All right, throwing you off for a minute, buddy. Let's go to Chris, numero uno. All right, Chris, come on in.
Hey, Egberto.
Talk to me, brother.
Hey, I just wanted to talk to you about your comment about uniting Appalachia, the barrio, and the
ghettos. It's a stereotype, so if you're going to attack me for using a stereotype, forgive me.
Oh, well, no, I'm not criticizing. I'm saying that's a reflection of Martin Luther King's Poor People's Movement before he was assassinated.
Amen. You got it, brother. You got it.
Unity politics of economic populism. But the problem is, on the left, we have this evil seed of toxic identity politics that's preventing that unity politics.
That's why you have politics done right, because, brother, we're not going to tolerate that. That's why, you notice, you listen to my show.
We tolerate it, though, because on KPFT on a Sunday night, you listen. I was listening a few months ago, and they're calling white people Neanderthals.
Okay, stop. Chris, my brother, you listen to politics done right. Is that correct?
Yeah, I love your show.
Hold up.
I'm listening on Sunday nights sometimes, and it's very divisive.
Listen to me. We have all kinds of people around here. All kinds of people. Mm-hmm. I have my sphere, okay? And I try to grow my sphere. You are in my sphere. let's not concentrate on what somebody else is doing that is really turning people off. The next time somebody tells you about some program that's calling white people Neanderthals, you tell them they should be listening to Politics Done Right. All right? That's all you got to do.
I heard it with my own ears, buddy, but the problem is it poisons KPFT itself because we got all these false accusations of racism thrown around that we went through. And it drags everybody down and divides us.
Chris, you keep listening to Politics Done Right, and you keep promoting Politics Done Right. You know what happens when you fill the room up with the positive affirmations, right? You know what happens, right? Let's do that.
Yeah, you get shouted down if you're at a KPFT board meeting.
Well, put it this way. Wait, hold up a second with the board. We don't talk about the board meetings, and I don't give a damn about the board.
Hey, Chris, I will drop you. Don't do that.
Painful.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
What did I tell you? Keep listening to Politics Done Right. Get on the website and like those pages and share it. Okay, brother?
All right, keep doing what you do, man.
All right, brother. Take it easy. Brother Wayne, come on in. Oops, I got to do it again. I forgot. Hey, I'm so used to it.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Come on in, Wayne.
Yeah, I'm here, Egberto. Egberto.
Yes, sir.
Did that person that you're speaking of, the one that didn't get picked, did they make the ballot?
Of course.
Okay, they did. The one that didn't get picked, did they make the ballot?
Yeah, they're both on the ballot. But here's a good thing about it, my brother. And it's great. All the real progressive organizations have already endorsed the right person, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be okay. My thing with bringing this issue up, right, isn't because I think this woman is in any kind of trouble for not getting the Our Revolution endorsement. My thing is whether the Our Revolution here in our county should be considered a real organization, or should it simply go down to rest. And I messaged directly to this organization, and I have spoken to some of the leaders of it already. Here's what has to happen. You go ahead and reverse that endorsement and endorse appropriately, or don't endorse, or forget about it. You're not an organization anymore. It's that simple.
I tend to listen to what you say, but I just want to know both people made the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But at some point, I wish you or somebody would put out the names of the two.
I will in a blog. Again, like I said, I respect people's privacy. And not only that, I just don't go willy-nilly and start throwing things out there. I make sure and that I'm right before I go out and put anything out on the line. But I will, and you follow me, so we'll have that information out there, okay?
I know you will, and I trust you. Okay, thank you, Egberto.
Thank you, my brother. Guys, lines are wide open again. Wayne was my last call, and I got 6 minutes. We went through those pretty quickly, man. Wayne normally talks for a longer time than that.
Well, you're talking about an issue that is it's one of those things that people, they're kind of like on their tiptoes about.
Yeah, but you know what?
And they shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be.
And it's kind of it's a shame. Like,
give them the number, Don. Let's give him a number.
713-526-5738. You got about 3 minutes to call in, guys. 713-526-5738.
Yeah, Don.
But like I was saying, it's because people don't understand it. For some black people, and for a lot of black people,
yeah,
we have to work 3 to 4 times harder just to accomplish anything, period.
Right.
It's not something that a white person is doing, something that a Hispanic. No, just to accomplish anything in life, sometimes we have to work 3 to 4 times harder. Why? Because we are seen as less than. And of course, we had a caller who said, there's only how many races? He asked me, how many races do we have? And he said, there's one, the human race.
Right.
Which I totally agree with that.
Right.
Let's
bring that person in. I'll just get it off. Okay. Hand. It's okay.
Cool.
All right. You're on the air. What's your name, sir? Or ma'am?
Hey, this is Alan.
Hey, Alan. Talk to me.
Okay, I just wanted to say about the Dana Steele endorsement. Her number one issue is Medicare for all, and I know she isn't herself a recovering Republican, but I don't think those sort of people should be shunned away if they are first and foremost in favor of Medicare for all.
Is that what you heard me say, my friend?
No, as a caller.
No, what I'm saying, didn't you hear me tell the caller that? In other words, I said that people like Dana becomes the bridge, right?
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
It's not as if she's surrounded by
no. Look, I'm
conservative strategist either. She has pretty
progressives must just be pragmatic in the way they do politics. Period. If you want to get something done, you have to know how to get it done. It's that simple, right, my brother?
Absolutely. Have a good one, Egberto.
You too. Take care now. All right, John, come on in. John, you're on.
Yeah, I'm calling a first-time caller.
Thank you, sir.
And I've been listening to you. And, you know, this racism to me, I mean, I'm 60 years old, and I grew up in Houston. And, you know, I mean, I've seen some racism and stuff, or so-called what they call racism. But, you know, I guess the biggest example for me was when I was in school. You know, I grew up in Spring Branch area, and it was predominantly white. And then we moved out to the Katy area, which was a 40-60 split. And, you know, I was amazed because I'd never been around black people before. But when I got to that school back then, there was a lot of, I don't know if you want to call it racism, but there was a lot of animosity from the blacks towards the whites. It wasn't just whites towards the blacks, because I didn't care.
Right.
And so, you know, my thing has always been, I don't think it's a racism thing. I don't think it's a color your skin deal. I think it's attitude. It's how people carry themselves and their attitude towards the other person.
Let me tell you something, and I get the point that you're trying to make, and I not only do I get the point, I understand where you're coming from, but I want to answer this one. I don't have the time to answer it correctly at all, but I'm going to tell you this. What you saw was a defense mechanism. That was black people with a defense mechanism, okay? And to you, it was a shock because you are not a racist. You are somebody that you're a good person, all right? To you, that came across, well, look, I'm a good white guy, and look at how these black people are treating me. They're treating you how they expected you to treat them. It's why we have to. That is why integration had to occur. That is why we had to be among all different kinds of people so that kind of fear goes away. You see what I'm talking about, my brother?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think a lot of it is assumption on both sides of the fence.
Right. So I got to go because you called right at the end. But, you know, we got to entertain that some other time because a lot of white people have that exact statement that you said, but they're so damn scared to come out and say it because they think, oh, look at what this person is going to say about me. You just helped a whole lot of people, brother. Have a good one. Yeah. All right, folks, this is another edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies. Don't forget, go to the webpage, Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies, and like that page, and go ahead and follow Egberto Willies on Twitter so we can be informed. Politics Done Right, Egberto Willies, I'm out. Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.